Okay. Let's get over here. Alright, and we'll go here. Let's go do. And let's copy this. And let's put that right here. Oh, stupid thing. Let's go. You stupid thing, you. There. Now I can close the window. Hello, Nicholas. Hello, hello. Or as was the popular joke back in the 90s, hello! God, I'm old! And I need a shave. And a beard dye. Jesus. Yeah, we got about 4 minutes before we're going to get started. We'll let everybody get a chance to get in here. Hello, Chris Jackson. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. I don't have any new goodies to show. I haven't been buying any action figures or anything lately. I've been paying bills instead. Yeah, I got that last stimulus check. Bought me a couple of things for guitar with it. And I bought a treadmill. And then I got my annual bonus from work. And spent most of that on paying credit cards off. And buying Eighth his new puppy and all of the vet bills for new puppy, which hasn't happened yet. And yeah, that's about it. We were planning on having the dog spayed when it hit 6 months old, which was going to be in July or August. And it's a good thing we did, because it turns out this puppy has a hernia, and they're going to patch the hernia up when they open her up to spay her. So that'll be happening in August. It's not causing the dog any pain. She just has like a little bump down in the crook of her left rear leg, down near where her privates are. It's just a little bump, and it's where at some point when she was really little, like her mom grabbed her a little too hard or something, and it tore the muscle in there, and so a little bit is poking. And the vet said, no worries, when we spay her, we'll sew that up. So, okay. She's a cute little thing. Very mischievous. Very mischievous. She's the other dog has not taken to her. The other dog has only ever been around Abby, the one that passed away, who was bigger than Kirby, and so Kirby has never been around a female since his mother, and he hasn't been around a dog that was smaller than him, so he doesn't really know what to make of her. And so she, he'll just kind of sniff her and then, walk away briskly. So I imagine when she gets a little bigger and he figures out what she is, he ain't going to have as much of a problem with her. Hi, Beard Cog. Hi, enemy. Man, wasn't even on line 5 minutes, and I got trolls talking about hoaxes and shit in the comments already. What the hell? Y'all usually wait at least an hour before showing up. And now you're showing up in the first 5 minutes. I haven't even been here in 2 weeks. What's the matter with you? Well, I talked about that at length during the last time I was live, Nicholas. I thought it was a great movie, but I'm not going to go into details because I already covered that on the last stream, which is still on the site. You know, it's if you go to my YouTube channel, you can rewatch it. It's still there, you know. Netflix didn't buy Sony. Netflix bought an exclusivity, went into an exclusivity contract where all of Sony's movies will be going straight to Netflix after they leave theaters. Why is it that every time a rapper dies, within days, there will be supposed proof of it being a hoax and that the guy's really alive? I mean, they've done it with Biggie. They did it with Tupac. And now they're doing it with DMX. What is the fascination with undead rappers? I don't get it. All right, so anyway, it's 6 o'clock. It is Saturday, April 10th, 2021, and this is the 7thCast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is off in his room, possibly either asleep because he stays up all night, or chatting with friends, or playing a video game, or playing with his new dog, Alex. He's doing one of those things. I'm not sure which one. I am not sure which one. 7th Crap Gamer said Sony is in trouble. I don't know that they're in trouble financially, but there's some decisions that are being made that I don't necessarily agree with. Some of the things that are going on with Sony right now are reminding me of that really disturbing early Xbox One period with Microsoft. And it's not a good light. Some of the stuff they're doing right now reminds me of that, and reminds me of where Sony was at with the beginning of the PS3, where they thought they could just get away with anything, and no matter what they did, people would still buy the hardware because it's PlayStation. And if they're not careful, they're going to wind up having a generation like the PS3 was, where it's going to be rough going until they figure out that they can't be doing the stuff they've been doing and get back to where they needed to be. And it's a shame because they're basically wasting all the positive momentum they had going into this generation from the PS4. It's like every time they have an overwhelmingly successful generation, they decide they can do no wrong with the next one and they screw up. This is starting to look like a cycle. 5 pounds from, is that Habib? Is the K silent, or is it Khabib? I don't know. I apologize. I'm an ignorant American, but that's never been out of the country. But regardless, thank you for the 5 pounds. I appreciate it. That reminds me, this is a 3-hour podcast. It runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central. All right, now I got to mute my speakers so I don't get... There we go. And it runs from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central. It can be extended by donations. A total of $50 is donated. I stay till 10. $75, I stay till 11. Anything 100 and up, I stay till midnight for an ass-blistering 6-hour podcast. Hoping that doesn't happen because my stomach's been messing up on me today. Case in point. Magic powers. Let's see here. Thoughts on Sony killing the PS3, PSN? Well, that's one of the things. Now, let's be honest. The PSP, they didn't kill PSN. I think you meant PSP, Chris. The PSP and the PS3 have been dead platforms for a long time. Okay? PS Vita has been kept somewhat alive by small studios still releasing games for it. And I don't care if they close down the stores for those platforms, so long as the systems are still allowed to sign in to the PSN and sync trophies. That's all I really care about. If they just leave things to where your system can connect, sync its trophies, I don't care that I can't buy games off the digital store anymore. I really don't, cuz I buy physical. I have some digital games on PS3, yes, that are all downloaded. Every game I ever bought for PS4 has been downloaded to a hard drive and is sitting on my PS5. So I'm not that concerned about those. And even so, the only things I ever buy digitally are little indie games. I don't buy full price games digitally. I buy them physically and put them on the shelf. But so, I mean, for folks that don't have the latest hardware, I mean, even someone who has a PS4, I wouldn't understand them being that pissed off about it unless they had never upgraded from the PS3, which is kind of mind-boggling. And the same thing with the PSP and Vita. I mean, the best games that are available for the Vita are ones that you can buy physically off of Amazon. Yes, some of them are more expensive now, but that's what you get for waiting too long. $10 from Pillsbury27. Sony is being complacent again like the PS3. Sony fans and shareholders do not like the leadership of Jim Ryan. Neither do I. If this keeps up, he'll get fired. I don't know if he'll get fired, but because, CEOs have been kept around for despite doing a lot worse. But thank you, Pillsbury, for the donation. That puts us up. I'm going to round that up and let's put it up to $15. So, you had this hi Evil Otaku and hi Juggernauts. Let's see here. I've got the PS3 games I want the most. Same thing. Let's see. 7th is only PlayStation gives good exclusives. Blah 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 blah. Folks who invested in the 360 digital ecosystem paid off for them now. What's happening with the PS? So, all of this got kicked off. What's the excuse on why you skipped the last several weeks? I didn't skip the last several weeks. I was here the week before last. I wasn't here last week because I had to work. This is our busy season, and anytime someone else calls out or drops the ball, guess who has to, shore in the shortage there, stand in the gap. Moi. So that's why. Duty calls. If I have to work, I have to work. Suck it up. I'll be here when I can. Anyway, what's causing all this is a Jason Schreier Bloomberg report that came out posting some well-sourced rumors that there has been some dissent in the ranks in regards to PlayStation Studios. Basically that, I don't know if you remember this or not, but a couple of years ago, you started hearing these rumblings about a quote-unquote secret Sony studio, unnamed Sony studio that was in San Diego that wasn't Sony San Diego, and that they had been put together to release new titles for established franchises. And everyone was talking about how, well, this must be how they're going to do Uncharted 5 without Naughty Dog's help. Well, as it turns out, that studio was actually a studio that only exists for helping out the other studios with busy work, basically doing a touch-up stuff on games being worked on by other studios. And at some point, the head of that studio got the go-ahead to take 30 people of that team and dedicate them to making releases of existing franchises, which, again, everyone thought that meant, oh, we'll get Uncharted 5. But what they had intended to do was do a Blue Point Studios style from the ground up remake of Uncharted. And then it was decided that they were spending too much money on it, And so Sony put the kibosh on it and said, no, instead you're going to do a remake of The Last of Us, which I have absolutely zero interest in, because for some reason they could do that cheaper. I guess because it was a newer game, so there wouldn't have to be as much work in redoing all the graphics, I guess. I think it's because they wanted something to tie in to the Last of Us TV show that's coming out for HBO. At the same time, Sony Bend, the studio that made Days Gone, the year that Days Gone came out, they pitched a sequel to Days Gone to Sony, and Sony turned down the pitch. The assumption being that Sony were not happy with the lukewarm critical reception the game got. However, that game ended up selling over 5 million copies, and at one point was the most played and downloaded Sony exclusive for the year 2019. It also won a couple of Golden Joystick Awards and has found a new audience through the PS5. I know a number of people that didn't play it on PS4 and are playing it now and are absolutely in love with it. Even 8th, who, when it came out, said, I have no interest in playing this, started playing it a couple of weeks ago, and he loves it. In fact, he said that he likes Deacon St. John better than Joel as a character. So, it's developed a new following since being made available on the PS5. And at one point, Sony Bend, a bunch of their people were put on assisting Naughty Dog with, I think it said, that Last of Us remake that they're wanting done. Or maybe it was Last of Us 2, I don't remember. Or actually, I think it was like helping them with a multiplayer game, which was probably the multiplayer they had planned for The Last of Us 2. The standalone multiplayer they were talking about bringing out. And eventually, the people at Sony Bend were afraid that their whole studio was just going to get absorbed into Naughty Dog. And so a bunch of them went to Sony and complained, and Sony gave them the go-ahead to start work on their own new game. The article implies that this is a new franchise that they're doing, or a new IP. But again, it being a rumor, it could be that after the tremendous success that sales success and popularity that Days Gone has since all of this happened, maybe they adjusted their pitch and got Sony to greenlight it. We don't really know because it's all rumor. I myself would like to see a Days Gone 2. And that's coming from somebody who's sick to death of zombie games. But I liked Days Gone, because it didn't really feel like your traditional, zombie game. It was different. And, it had that kind of open world action RPG element that I like. And so I really enjoyed it. And I liked the characters. I liked the acting. I liked the art style. I liked most everything about it. And it just took me a while to get into it because that first 10 hours are kind of slow. But that was its biggest detractor, in my opinion, was the first 10 hours didn't have enough stuff to suck you into the plot. But, depending on what the public outcry is about that, maybe Sony will change their mind. It certainly wasn't because they didn't make any money off of Days Gone. They made plenty of money off of Days Gone. Sure, it didn't sell as well as Spider-Man, but, selling over 5 million copies, that's nothing to sneeze at for an exclusive title. The first 2 God of Wars didn't sell that many copies, and the PS2's install base was a lot larger at that time than what PS4's was as of spring of 2019. So we shall see. We shall see. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But the thing of it is that it seems like Sony is focused on only putting out sure things. Big AAA sequels, basically. It doesn't look like they're wanting to risk trying to create new IP aside from like Returnal, which I don't suspect that the budget for Returnal was all that tremendous because of the fact that it was made by Housemarque, and Housemarque are known for putting out high quality titles with, not tremendous budgets. So and plus, Returnal, Housemarque was recently acquired by Sony, so obviously there was something about Returnal that convinced them this is a studio we need under our wing. However, aside from Returnal, everything that you hear about are sequel. And what saved PS3 when they made all the poor decisions that they did with the PS3, what saved PS3 was the fact that they acquired more studios and they took risks on new IP, new franchises. They had one sequel, well, actually two sequels. They had Killzone 2, which was a sequel to, let's face it, an underperformer on the PS2. Killzone was not a big hit on PS2 at all. So Killzone 2 was a risk. And they had God of War 3. And of course, Gran Turismo. But most of, with the PS3, you had Uncharted. You had Little Big Planet. You had the Infamous series. You had The Last of Us. That system was the system of new IPs. And for the most part, PS4 was the sequel machine. You had Days Gone. You had Dreams that replaced Little Big Planet. You had Spider-Man, but Spider-Man is an established franchise. And, what was that? Ghost of Tsushima was new. But and Horizon Zero Dawn. But a lot of PS4 was sequel, whereas PS3 was taking risks left and right. And the indication that they're getting from Jim Ryan is that he doesn't care about games of the past. All he cares about are big studio blockbusters that are a sure thing, which means sequels. And that's not good. Now, backwards compatibility doesn't affect me because I still have all the original hardware and I have the games physical. So backwards compatibility isn't that big of a deal to me, especially when what people talk about as backwards compatibility nowadays is not real backwards compatibility, it's emulation. Real backwards compatibility is this. You set your PS5 in front of you, you hook it up, you turn it on. You take a PS1, PS2, PS3, or PS4 disc. You stick it in the drive, it loads the game off the disc. That's backwards compatibility. If you take a disc and you stick it in the PS5 and instead the PlayStation Store comes up and downloads a digital game that's had trophies added to it, the graphics upgraded, functionality with the DualSense added, blah, 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 whatever, that's not backwards compatibility. That's your disc being, why did my light do this? Again. What in the... Something is causing this light to just randomly shoot up in brightness, and I don't know what causes it. Where is that knob? There's a knob on here that controls how bright that light is. And now I can't find it. That is fucked up. Anyway. That's not real backwards compatibility. That's emulation. It's emulation, and it's just using your disc as proof of a purchase to download basically a remaster of the game. That's not backwards compatibility. It's just not. That's not what that's Xbox Series X. That's not real backwards compatibility. It's not. And especially because for the way that they're doing it, okay, which is, let's be honest, probably the way that Sony's going to do it too, for that to work, they have to re-up the license if it's a third-party game. That's why not all games are backwards compatible. With the PS5, pretty much every PS4 game, short of a very, very small handful, like 10 or 20 out of several thousand, are backwards compatible. On Xbox, some of your OG Xbox games will work, some of your 360 games will work, some of your Xbox One games will work, but not all of them, because it's not real backwards compatibility. It's stick the disc in, prove your license, download a remastered version of the game. And that remastered version, if it's a third-party game, has to have its license renewed with the original publisher of that title. And if they can't get that licensing deal for that game, then that game is not compatible. You will stick it in and it won't recognize it. So no, what we have now is not real backwards compatibility. And so for me, it's pointless. It's pointless. Now, one of the other rumors that's going around is actually been kickstarted back up by David Scott Jaffe, one of the fathers of the original God of War. And he said that he had spoken with someone who still works in Sony that said that Sony is cooking up their answer to Game Pass, which I suspect, my gut tells me it's going to be a retooling of PS Now to make PS Now as close to Game Pass as they can get it, and that they'll come out with some new pricing plan where you have basically their version of Xbox Ultimate, where you'll get PlayStation Plus and PS Now for some monthly fee, like $15 or $20 a month or something. That's what I suspect is going to happen. It could be that this will be something separate from PS Now, but it doesn't make any sense for them to come out with a Game Pass-like platform when PS Now is basically already a Game Pass-like platform. So that's what I suspect. Maybe it'll end up being announced close to E3, or who knows? They haven't said when this is going to be announced. It's still in a rumor phase at this point. Let's see here. That's basically it as far as what I had for topics. So let me go catch up to all these comments that you guys threw up here while I was talking. Thoughts on Microsoft buying Konami? I highly doubt it. My gut tells me that I mean, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, but at the same, you've got a rumor that Microsoft's buying Konami, and you've got a rumor that they've got a contract for Hideo Kojima to make an exclusive game. So you've got two rumors that are linked by the fact that Kojima used to work for Konami. It just seems kind of outlandish that both of those things would be happening. Historically speaking, the Japanese studio that Microsoft has the longest and most established history with is Sega. And so, honestly, the studio that it would make most sense for Microsoft to purchase if they were going to purchase a Japanese studio would be Sega. Because Sega's already tried to sell themselves to Microsoft back in 2001 or so when the Dreamcast died. Do you think Uncharted 5 is in the works right now? I don't know. No clue. Any advice on depression? None, because I've never suffered from depression. There's a difference between feeling a little depressed and suffering from depression. It's not the same thing, and I've never suffered from depression. So I'm not somebody to speak on it. The amount of money, Another thing about this is that there's been a lot of talk of Sony buying a lot of third-party exclusivity deals, like with Final Fantasy 16, stuff like that, either timed or not timed. And I mean, PS1 and PS2 era were not big on Sony first-party exclusives. PS1 and PS2 primarily were successful off the back of third-party exclusives that didn't come to, OG Xbox or Nintendo. You had a few standouts like God of War, Gran Turismo, things like that. But most of the big exclusives on the PS1 and the PS2 were third-party games. So maybe they're trying to go backwards and have it be more of a mix. But then again, PS3 and PS4 were both strongly supported by third-party exclusive games out of Japan. However, a lot of those studios that used to put their games exclusively on PlayStation are now putting them on Switch as well, or only putting them out on Switch. So, who knows with this generation, man? This generation is proving to be harder to predict things than the last two generations. I looked at PS3 and I was like, this is what's going to happen, and it happened. I looked at PS4 versus Xbox before E3 had even occurred that year, and I said, here's what's going to happen, and all of it happened. I was 100% right on all of it. This generation, it's a weird one. We're kind of in unprecedented, uncharted waters, unprecedented times. We'll just have to see what we see. Thoughts on the upcoming Chucky TV series? Don't care about it. I can't stand The Last of Us. I'm not a big. I never was a big fan of it, but after already having played it twice now, on PS3 and PS4, I really don't care to play it a third time. Do you think Godzilla vs. Kong saved movie theaters? No, I don't, because that's a movie that they're considering 200 and something million dollars worldwide box office a success, when prior to COVID, you had movies that were making $1 and $2 billion worldwide at the box office. So no, I don't consider it as saving theaters. I didn't go to a theater to watch it. I watched it at home, where I wasn't going to have somebody coughing the coof on me. Seventh, I love your old videos. It's always, I love your old videos. Which old videos are you talking about? Are you talking about the Trey Brotherhood stuff? Feels like Sony is like Marvel and only wants to make already established stuff. Here. Thoughts on this year's upcoming E3? Don't really care about it. We shall name that light Seventh Heaven. Thank you, Seventh. I've been saying this over a year because it's about physical games. You can play them on the new console. Thoughts on Classic Game Room? I used to watch that channel a lot back when they were still, making regular YouTube content. Thoughts on the first Lunar? Oh, I loved Lunar. I had it on Sega CD, and I put a lot of hours into it. I really enjoyed that game. Lunar 2, not as much. Lunar 2 was still good, but there was just something about the original game that was really special. What'd you think of Godzilla vs. Kong? I loved it. They kept the stupid human stuff to a minimum. What was there was especially stupid, even compared to the first two films. But they kept, it didn't take away too much time from the fights. best fights of any of the Godzilla movies that U.S. movies that have been made. It's you get your bang for your buck. It is as advertised, and it's fantastic. Me and 8th had a ton of fun watching it. Hell, we may even rewatch it tomorrow. But it's 8th's favorite out of all of them. Well, maybe tied with Kong Skull Island. He really loves Kong Skull Island. And in my opinion, Kong Skull Island has the best of the human stuff in it. It's got the least annoying human stuff in it, which is saying a lot since it has that actress that plays Captain Marvel in it. But we had a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to watching it again. Although, I did, if y'all remember, I predicted way before what the plot of it was going to be, that it would start out with Kong and Godzilla fighting each other, and then they'd have to join forces against a greater threat, probably an evil Mecha Godzilla. I said that forever ago, and I was right. Why do you always wear shades? Because I suffer from a light sensitivity disorder. I've had it since, years and years and years. From years that I spent working third shift in IT. You spend years working on third shift, sitting in the dark, staring at screens all night. It'll mess your eyes up. And rather than having to be on medication for it for the rest of my life, I just got prescription sunglasses. Because I'm also, I have astigmatism, and I'm nearsighted in one eye and farsighted in the other. So, my vision is all screwed up. Thoughts on the new Mortal Kombat movie? It looks good. It looks good, and I'm really excited about the fact that they kept it R-rated. Seventh, do you like Kong 2005? Yeah, I love that movie. I just don't like Jack Black in that movie. I know that he's kind of comic relief, but at the same time, he's just not convincing as a director from the 1930s. He's just Jack Black in period costume. Do you think Godzilla vs. King Kong will be a trilogy? Well, officially, King Kong vs. Godzilla was the last film in the licensing deal that Toho gave Legendary. But considering how successful this film is, if Legendary waves enough money in Toho's face, I'm sure they'll sign on for anything that they want. I'm happy we had several fights in the daytime. Yes. Yes. Do you believe any of the lies about vaping? I don't know, man. I've been doing it for years. I don't have any breathing-related health problems at all. I don't have sinus problems. I don't have throat problems. All the different things that they say that this is supposed to do to you, I don't suffer from none of it. And I've been doing this since at least, 2011. So like 10 years. Do you remember your first HD game? It was a downloadable title on the PS3, but I don't remember which one it was. No, I'm not colorblind. Thoughts on Super Stardust HD? That was a great game. Housemarque, the people that are doing Returnal. Peter Jackson did a great job for King Kong 05. That King Kong game on 360 was pretty good. I've heard people say that, but I played it a few years ago and I didn't like it. Do you believe taxation is theft? That's a political question. What I'd think about political questions beyond the gate. Survey says The director for Mortal Kombat said he left Johnny Cage out because he didn't think a white guy in an Asian-centric movie was appropriate. He later backtracked this. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, considering Johnny Cage, he was inspired by, you know, white 90s action stars, particularly guys like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. He even does the same the crotch punch that Jean-Claude does in that movie. So I don't know. I think if he said that was a stupid thing to say. You think Kong should have lived in 2005? It wouldn't have been true to the original film if they'd done that. And plus, they kind of sort of did that with the 70s remake, since it turned out in Kong Lives that he didn't die falling off the World Trade Center. He just had to have a big giant artificial heart put in. He said he would focus on Johnny Cage in the second film. Those vaping cases were due to people adding other substances to it, increasing the alcohol content. Yeah, I don't mix my vape. I buy my vape. I've been using the exact same brand for a few years now. So, you know, I don't even swap out brands. You know, I find one flavor I like from one company and I stick to it. And this is the one that I stick to, which is Vape Dojo Menthol. And I either get it with no nicotine at all or with a nicotine level so low that it doesn't affect me to any great extent. Like 3. You know, 3 is the highest I'll go. You don't like political questions. Why not? Because it will always devolve into people arguing. Because whenever someone in the chat asks you a political question, it's because they're hoping that you share the same idea as them. And if you don't, then all of a sudden they become angry about it. They become angry about it, and then it just turns into a big frickin' mess of people arguing back and forth in the chat, and people that have been watching you for years starting to accuse you of all this stupid crap. And I just am too old to deal with that garbage. So I don't talk about it. This is a gaming stream. This is a gaming and movie stream. That's what it's always been about. That's what it's been about now. If you don't like it, then, you know, go watch the Steven Crowders and all those weirdos of the world. You know, go watch them. Don't watch me. You know what I'm saying? Seventh, do you think Nintendo's success of Mario 3D All-Stars selling with a limited release date is a concern that they could try to exploit Nintendo fans further in the future? I think that's Nintendo using the Disney Vault method. For those of you who don't know, the Disney Vault method was Disney liked to perpetually make money off of their already made animated films. So they would bring an animated film out on the theater, and then they'd put it out on VHS or DVD or whatever. And then after a certain amount of time, they would take that DVD out of circulation where you couldn't buy it anywhere anymore, wait a few years, then re-release the movie on the theater or re-release it on whatever the newest home movie platform was with additional features and whatnot. It was just a way to keep making money off of stuff they've already done. And it's just Nintendo doing the same thing. It's just Nintendo doing the same thing so that they can sell it to you again when the next system comes out. That's all it's for. That's all it's for. Why was Sonic 3 split into 2 acts? I don't know. Ask the devs. the Empire State Building was the original film Shadow Deist. I was talking about the remake in the 70s. In the remake in the 70s, he fell off of the World Trade Center, not the Empire State Building. The one that had Jeff Bridges in it. What weird flavors have you tried for your vape? I've done cheeseburger, pizza, one that was called Alien Ass because it was free. And I had one that was basically like banana cream pie. It was called Banana Butt. That one was actually kind of good. But the main thing is I don't like any flavor that doesn't have menthol in it because I like that really cold sensation when you're inhaling it. And so, I toyed around with those wacky flavors, but they don't have the cool effect going down because they don't have menthol in them. And because of all the sweeteners and all the other artificial flavors that they have to put in those to get those weird flavors, your coil doesn't last as long. It ruins the coil a lot faster. With this stuff, it's literally just peppermint flavor and menthol, and the coil can last me 2 to 3, even 3 weeks, even a month, without having to swap the coil out. Why haven't you been drinking your Jack Daniel's Cola? They've been harder to find. They haven't been as easy to find in the stores lately. I don't know why. I'm going to wait for a PS5 Slim in 2023. We don't have any confirmation that that's happening in 2023. Let's see here. I know this is a political question. If you know it's a political question, then why are you asking it, Callum? That's strike one. Do you think Microsoft has a chance to win the console war this generation now? Of course they do. Thoughts on General MLD possibly debating MBG? Who? Have you heard the rumor about... Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I don't know how much I believe it. That'd be kind of... Honestly, that'd be kind of shitty of Kojima to do, considering how much money Sony put into helping him build that new studio he has. 7th, do you like roller coasters? Yes. How's your fridge doing? Fridge is working fine now. Skyricius, that sounds like a trick question, so I'm gonna ignore that you asked it. General MLD is a soy boy, probably a liberal. Oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for letting me know who General MLD is. Appreciate it. What can Sony do to turn things around before Microsoft gains more traction? Well, considering the fact that Microsoft is pushing this industry towards an all-digital solution, they might as well go ahead and step their game up and have an answer to Game Pass. 1, 2, they need to backtrack on this idea of only financing a sure thing, because experimenting with new IPs is part of what made PS3 successful, and because of that success, the PS4 was successful. So they they need to backtrack from this idea of only stuff that's made by Sucker Punch, Insomniac, Gorilla, and Naughty Dog are worth our time. They need to back off on that. Seventh, do roller coasters ever hurt your neck? It depends on what kind of neck support that the coaster has. And it depends on the coaster itself. How many inversions? Are they smooth inversions, or are they really tight inversions? There's a lot of different factors that can go into that. It can also depend on where on the coaster you're sitting, believe it or not. Like I've ridden Space Mountain a bazillion times at Disney World. The last time I went I've never had a single pain riding that thing. The last time I rode it in 2015, I was sitting in the very back seat of the back car. And that was the first time ever that is where I ended up. We came into re-entry, we went over this little bump, and it threw my head back into the headrest, and my neck hurt for the rest of the day. I haven't had any interaction with MBG. Yeah, the Soldier Boy thing, that's like a couple of months old now, Master Chief. MBG is to this console generation what you were for the Trey Brotherhood. Look, I've seen MBG. Okay? I've seen MBG. When I said who, that's not who I was talking about. There's no need to insult me. Not saying MBG is bad, but he's not me. And he doesn't do what I did. Any thoughts on Crap Gamer becoming a PlayStation fan? Yeah, he's a fraud. He wasn't getting the views he wanted anymore supporting Xbox, and Phil Spencer publicly mocked him, so he went over to PlayStation because of that. And that's it. Which is worse, socialism or communism? That's a political question. Strike one, Shadowhood. Oh, 7th, I've made some videos when you have a chance. Okay. 7th, do you like Blade Runner? Yes. What about its sequel? Yes. Have you ever been to Legoland? Legoland wasn't Legoland when we lived in Florida. Legoland was still Cypress Gardens when we lived in Florida. What's the most expensive thing that you've ever had stolen from you? Everything that was in my living room, 2010. It was about $6,000 worth of stuff. Crap Gamer or JTech TV? Who's worse? Crap Gamer. Yeah, I don't have any doubts about JTech at least being honest about what his console preference is. That being said, I've also never seen anything about Crap Gamer sending unsolicited genital pics to women who say hello to him on Twitter neither. So, hello, short round. Sony wants to lose on purpose. Okay. Just got home from work. Sorry if I answered this. Do you think Sony will ever re-embrace backwards compatibility? Not in the way that I would want it. I think if they have backwards compatibility, it's going to end up being something similar to what Microsoft is doing, not true backwards compatibility. Communism is a political system. Socialism is a political ideology. Just because you take the political out of in front of ideology does not mean that you remove the politics away from what it is. By the way, if you argue with me about asking a political question, that's the same as asking a political question. So guess what, Shadow? Strike two. What happened to the stuff that got stolen? It was fleeced. It was fleeced. I had to use my insurance money to rebuy everything. How was your week? My week sucked. My week sucked. Because I had to work. Don't ever ask me how I'm doing on a work day. Because the answer is going to be crap. Because I had to work. I don't like to work. I don't like working. I've been working since I was 16 years old. I don't like it. It's like you start working, you start spending 8 hours a day doing something you don't want to do to be able to afford to do the things you do want to do, and then you blink and you're 46 years old. That's what it's going to feel like when you get to be my age, unless you're rich or unless you lucked out and are doing something that is so fun to you that it doesn't even feel like you're working. I don't have that. I have a job. And you start doing that job, and one day you get up out of bed and, you're 46 years old. Why haven't they put PS1 games on PS Now yet? I have no idea. Stadia's failure should probably because of licensing. Stadia's failure should be a clear indication that Sony and Microsoft would not go all digital for the next generation. And yet they have an all digital machine. There's an all digital PS5. Scaricius. Can't put discs in it. It's all digital. Hello? I would like to clip some of those best moments in your previous 7th cast, despite being hours long, and listen to them 2 times fast to clip the funniest parts in your streams. Didn't you once ask for permission to use some of my footage before anyway? I don't care. I don't care. Steal away. Couldn't give less of a crap. Let's see here. Seventh once said, "Did you fill it with cream cheese?" I have no memory of that at all. Mainly because I don't eat cream cheese, so I have no memory of that. Not saying I didn't say it, but I don't know what the context would have been. Thoughts on Sonic CD. I really liked Sonic CD. It felt a little long, but I liked it. In fact, that was one of my first experiences with Black Friday because I pre-ordered it for Sega CD, and it showed up on a Tuesday, and I'm like, I don't want to drive all the way out to the mall to pick it up. I'll just wait until the day after Thanksgiving, and I'll go pick it up then. Not realizing, and so I go to pick it up, and the crowd at the mall is so big that I had to park at a little shopping complex across the street from the mall, run across the street, walk all the way through the grass, and then walk all the way up that long-ass parking lot of the mall. Then once I got in there, the line going into Electronics Boutique stretched all the way to the food court. So I was in line for over an hour just to pick up something I'd already paid for. So yeah, that's why I don't do Black Friday if I can avoid it. I thought you enjoyed your job. I enjoy elements of my job, but I didn't grow up thinking, man, I can't wait till I'm a grown-up and I can go to college and get a job in IT security. I didn't do that. I wanted to do something fun with my life. There's nothing fun about IT security. My fun at work comes from messing with my coworkers. I send them memes and I bust their balls in the chat all day. That's where I get my fun, is from messing with my coworkers. It certainly isn't from the work itself. Who is the creepiest evil clown, Pennywise or Joker? I don't really find Pennywise all that creepy, so I'd go with the Joker. 7th is 8th mad that they're remaking Lilo and Stitch. He ain't happy about it, because after all the other live-action remakes they've done, he knows that it's going to suck. Let's see here. What happens on strike 3? You get thrown out of the chat. 7th, do you have a favorite restaurant? Not really. Especially since I don't go to them anymore. If someone paid you to play Santa Claus at the mall for $800, would you do it? If the pandemic was over, sure. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I've played Santa Claus over the phone for my cousins when they were little. Their mom would call over to my phone and say, hey, when the phone rings, pretend to be Santa Claus. I'll be, oh, okay. And they call over, oh, ho, ho. Yeah. Merry upcoming Christmas. What would you like, little girl? Blah, blah, blah. Do you think Gene Simmons ate a lot in his life? Oh, I'm sure he did. I have no doubt. Probably took pictures of it all, too. I'm out. See you later. Flips the bird. Yeah, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. I just avoid Black Friday events last year due to COVID-19 pandemic because they're like zombies. I can't disagree. And I kind of get the feeling that that's, and I know to a certain extent that Dawn of the Dead was inspired by, the consumerism in the United States. And I'm sure watching footage of people trampling each other during Black Friday probably factored into that too. Let's see here. Hi, Jay. How's it going, Mr. Allen, sir? If Twitch was around in your day, would you have tried to become a game streamer for a living? Probably not. Because I don't enjoy watching other people play video games. I never have. When my cousins would come over and I would die and it'd be their turn, I'd get up and walk out of the room and just tell them to let me know when they were dead. Because I don't get any enjoyment out of watching other people play. The only exception to that are retro streamers when they're covering like obscure games from Japan that I've never played or something like that. Or if it's just a close friend of mine that's playing old retro stuff, then I'll watch. But otherwise, watching people play Fortnite, I can't, I'd rather have a colonoscopy than watch other people play Fortnite. I wouldn't even want to watch myself play Fortnite. I've never played Fortnite. I've seen footage of people playing it, and no. And watching people play, Minecraft and crap, I couldn't imagine a more boring thing. Seven, would you ever wrestle a bear? No. What's your opinion of piracy if people can't obtain the games legally anymore? Honestly, I don't have a problem with that. If the company's not making money off of it anymore because you can't get it anywhere anymore, if you can find a free copy, more power to you. Question I wanted to ask you last week, but you weren't here. Thoughts on the night Owen Hart died? Would you have continued the show? No, I would not have continued the show. I wasn't watching that pay-per-view, by the way. I was sitting at my computer talking with some people in a chat. And someone else was watching it, and they told me what had just happened. That's how I found about it. What do you think of Prince Philip and DMX dying on the same day? Seems like celebrities always tend to die in threes. In a couple of days here, there'll be another one. You just watch. There'll be some famous person, whether it be a movie star, TV star, musician, or something, within the next 1 to 2 weeks is probably going to die. And that'll be your third one. They always seem to die in threes. Maybe a law. I don't know. What if YouTube began in the late 90s instead? God, the video quality would have been terrible. What's the best open world zombie game? Days Gone, because that's the only one I've played. 7th, have you heard about SJWs on Twitter want Genshin Impact to be? Somebody asked me about that on Twitter. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't even played that game. I've played it like for a few minutes, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why some people like this, and then I never went back to it. Hi, 7th, long time, mate. Hope you're doing well. I'm actually thinking of getting rid of my PS3 and PS4 collection because of this crap, but I would like to know what you think, mate, please. I'd hold on to them. Because the closer we get to an all-digital future, the more valuable some of that stuff's going to be. And case in point, my physical copy of Godzilla is now worth close to $400. Why do you hate Deathmatch? Because I spent so long doing it that I got burnt out on it. Oh, and by the way, hours. 2 hours remaining. We have had $15 in donations. We are $35 away from the 10 o'clock goal. And I will remind you, fine folks, I appreciate every donation that comes my way. But when you use the gray button with the $sign on it, instead of using this link up here, there's no telling when I'm going to get that money, because I'm not a partner with Screenwave anymore, so I don't get monthly checks anymore. The overall balance of the account has to equal $100 before YouTube will even cut me a check. So, and plus they'll take 30% of it. If you donate to this, I get it same day, goes straight into my PayPal account, and I get all of it, short of a few cents. So this link up here at the top, best way to donate. Let's see here. Good live streaming. Bye. Okay, bye. I finally got a PS5. Cool. Did you buy Dying Light? Is it better than Days Gone? I have Dying Light. I played it for a few minutes. Didn't like it. Because yes, systems-wise, it's basically Dead Island, but it didn't have the humor and the B-movie vibe of Dead Island. They tried to make it all serious, and I didn't like it. I like Dead Island a lot better than Dying Light, even though Dead Island was a lot buggier. Do you think Call of Duty is overrated? Absolutely. Turn the volume down on that. It doesn't have its own individual volume knob, Jeff. It's an MP4, so it just automatically plays at whatever volume it's set to. The guy that made it for me at one point said that he had sent me a version of it with the volume turned down, but I couldn't find it the other day, so we're kind of stuck with it just being loud. Let's see here. 7th, if the PS Store is closed for PS3, then how can it work if it can't download the update? Do you know what I mean? PS Store and PSN are not the same thing. PS Store is an element of PSN. Just because they're taking the store away where you can't buy PS3 games doesn't mean that you won't be able to sync your trophies for those games or connect to the PSN. It just means that you can't go and buy PS3 games on the store anymore. When they tell you the PS3 will no longer be able to connect to PSN, that's when you're really going to have a problem. I've been trying to collect physicals for Vita and some collector's editions that launched at $60, and now they're over $200. Well, that's what happens, man. I mean, not all the time. There are collector's editions that you can get for under $50. I bought the collector's edition to Aliens Colonial Marines for $10 just because I wanted the little statue of the freight loader or whatever. No, I don't like Madden. I'm not a sports game player. The rapper in Dead Island is pretty funny with his rap song. Any RPGs you've been playing? Not lately. I've been too busy to play games lately. I haven't been playing that much at all. You can go into your library and download games you've already purchased, but once the store is down, you probably can't download games. So that's why, now is the time to go, if you still have a PS3, get on the PSN, hook up, expand the hard drive if you don't have enough room or what have you, and download all of your games onto it. Because a lot of those games you don't have to be connected to the internet for those to work. They'll run off the hard drive. It's not going to be true for all of them, but it's true for a good chunk of them. Go ahead and download them, and of course, even then, if the hard drive on that system ever croaks, you're screwed. But at least you'll have them for a while longer. Like I said, the main thing is that your PS3 will still be able to connect to PSN so that you can sync your trophies up and whatnot. That's the big thing, really. Let's see here. 7, do you think 8th would do good at run and gun games like Metal Slug? I know he's good at Dark Souls, but I'd like to see what he can do with. He's not very good. He's with that kind of game. As far as I know, the only 2D side-scrolling style games that he's good at are the Dark Souls type stuff like Salt and Sanctuary and that kind of thing. He's good with those, but I've never seen him do extremely well at a Contra style game, for example. He did really well with Mighty Number 9. He kind of blasted his way through that one without that much difficulty. But are you looking forward to Resident Evil 8? No, because like I've said on almost every 7thCast for years now, I'm not a big fan of survival horror. 8th is looking very much forward to it. Have you heard about what happens if the CMOS battery on the PS3 gives out? You get locked out of your digital purchases. Well, it's a CMOS battery. You open the console up, you remove a few pieces, you pop the old CMOS battery out, you pop the new one in, Bob's your uncle. You're all done. You're good to go. It's not that hard to do. Never mind the fact that, Sony could just send out a firmware update that could fix that. So that, the internal clock time and the store and the PSN time wouldn't have to match. They would just sync, and then you'd still be able to access your stuff. The thing is, would they do it? And plus, if all you'd have to do is just install custom firmware on the PS3 too, you can get around it that way as well. See you later, Wu-Tang. It's a waste of money buying digital games on a dead platform. I don't disagree. That's one good thing about limited run games is they give you the chance to buy physical versions of digital only games. I just think that their store could work a little better than it does. What games do you like? Seems like you dislike everything and call yourself a gamer. Oh, someone's getting salty and pissed off. Oh, ho, ho. Let's see. I like first-person shooters that are single-player. I like retro stuff. I like side-scrolling action games. I like turn-based RPGs. I like action RPGs. I like Western style and I like Japanese style RPGs. I like big action blockbusters. I like stuff like Uncharted, third-person cover shooters. I like stuff like that. I like certain racing games. But I don't like survival horror, and I don't like online deathmatch anymore. I burned myself out on it. I played online deathmatch from Doom 2 all the way up to Unreal Tournament 2004, and by the time that had happened, that was like a decade's worth of playing deathmatch, and I just got so burnt out on it that I just abandoned it, and I have never been back to it, short of just hopping into the multiplayer for a little bit to test it out so I could cover it in a review. Is King of the Hill like the people you meet in Texas? A couple of them, but, not all of them by any stretch of the imagination. 7th, I've been wanting to collect PS1 games since it's my favorite console. Any advice on PS1 collecting? Buy the games that you liked the most first. Then start branching out into stuff that you never got around to playing. Because chances are the stuff that you like the most is the stuff that's going to be cheapest and easiest to find. There's a lot of really, really good games for PS1 that can be gotten for under $20. So, it's still a pretty affordable console to collect for. Just don't buy disc only. If you're going to buy disc only, make sure that you have a color laser printer so you can print custom covers for the games instead of just keeping them in a stupid disc binder. That's no fun at all. I hate it when when I meet up with a gamer and I'm like, you got any pictures of your collection? Pictures? I got my collection right here, and they pull out this stupid disc binder. I cannot stand that. If I couldn't put my games on display, I wouldn't collect. Seven, they recently bought PS5 from Walmart on the March 18th drop, but now they're saying it's delayed. Bummer. That sucks. You know of any websites that get cheap games from? Amazon and eBay can get expensive. No, man. Best place that you can buy used games is either at garage sales or flea markets or wheeling and dealing at cons. You know, the con guys, when you go to buy something from the con, they'll price everything at price charting prices. And you gotta know how to wheel and deal, which usually means buying them up in a bundle. You know, they'll tell you that game's 25, that game's 25, and that game's 25. And I'll say, well, if I buy all three, will you give them to me for 50? Yeah, I'll do that. That's how you do it. You know, don't if you're only looking for one game, you're not going to get a good price at a con. Find 3 games that you want from that dealer, and then wheel and deal a bundle price so you get a decent price. You can wheel and deal a little bit with an individual game, but you're not going to walk into a convention and they're, you know, this game you've been looking for and they want $150 for it. You're not going to be able to say, I'll give you 50 and they take it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, rare chance, you know, if this is like your really, really good friend, maybe, but very unlikely. You know, you might at the most be able to talk, you know, $20 or $30 off the price at most. But you'll get better deals if you buy things and you bundle it up and say, hey, can you give me a bundle price? How about this? You know, you can haggle at cons. You can haggle at the flea market. You can haggle at garage sales. You can't haggle from websites. Want info on the axe being built? You're building another guitar? I did not know about this. You'll have to tell me about it. Is it a Telecaster style? Is it a Les Paul style? Is it a Strat style? And if it's a Strat style, you know, traditional Strat, Ibanez, what are we talking about here? Let's see. What's your favorite Red Dead Redemption? I don't have one. Probably the first one, because I wasn't a big fan of Red Dead 2. Are you excited for the new Ghostbusters movie? I am curious. I wouldn't say I was excited. Yes, always make sure to check the discs for scratches. Also check for disc rot. Disc rot is where you can hold the disc up to the light and you can see the light coming through the disc. If you can see where there's like a little hole in the silver part of the disc where you can see light like there's nothing there, that's disc rot. Avoid that one. Thoughts on the Queen's husband's death? Couldn't give a rat's ass. 7th, when will it be easy for me to get a PS5? Your guess is as good as mine. What are your thoughts on the latest episode of the Game Chasers? The latest thing that was uploaded is actually an old video. I think it was like a special feature on one of their DVD sets, and it's an episode that was just Dodongo and Melvor shopping. And I watched it. I'd already seen it before because, like I said, it was like a special feature on a DVD or something. I know I've seen it before. I knew it wasn't anything new for me. But I watched it again the other day, and it's still funny. Do you have Battletoads? Yes. No, yours. I'm not building a new axe, Jeff. I said that I wanted to have my buddy who runs his own guitar shop to build me a custom axe, but that would cost me $2,500, and I decided to pay off credit card debt instead of doing that. And even so, he has like a year-long waiting list anyway. So he quoted me a price of $2,500. I could have done it with my bonus. I decided to be an adult. God, an adult, and pay off credit card debt instead. So no new acts for me, unfortunately, Jeff. Have you pissed someone off by lowballing at a con? No, I've never had anybody act insulted from me countering the offer. Never. And I don't know, and maybe that's because everyone at these cons know that they know me from that episode of the Game Chasers, and they know I'm friends with the Game Chasers, but I don't think so. I think it's just, they go to these cons knowing that people will barter, and so they're expecting it. So as long as you don't give them something super ridiculous, like it's a $150 game and you offer them $2, as long as you're not doing that, and your counter is reasonable, most people will work with you. I've gotten some really, really good deals at Retropalooza, and gotten really, really good prices on stuff. My opinion, Sony is not screwing up. I don't even have my PS5, and it's still going to be harder. Well, the thing of it is, just because it's hard to find a PS5 doesn't mean it's because it's selling out like hotcakes. There's just not that many being shipped out because there's shortages of hardware. You're not hearing about Walmart getting, 5,000 PS5s or anything like that. It's not happening. They're getting them in small numbers, and that's why they go so fast. And, some of the ones that are going are getting in the hands of scalpers. Yes, they've sold what? The last I heard, like something like 4 or 6 million of them already. That's tremendous, but that doesn't mean that, that's the reason you can't get a PS5. Right now, we're in the middle of a chip shortage, and shipping things, there's been all sorts of shipping problems because of the whole COVID thing. So, it is what it is. My opinion, Sony is not screwing up. I just read that. Remember the GameStop Battletoads joke. GameStop Battletoads joke. No. Are you able to enjoy Chinese food? I haven't tried Chinese food since before the coof hit. I would guess that it would make me sick if I tried to eat it now. I could be wrong. Can Blu-rays get disc right? Yes. Why don't you like Red Dead 2? Watch my review. It's on the channel. 7th, do you like the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser? I like the first 2. The third one was garbage. Favorite Breaking Bad character? Heisenberg. Walter White. I liked Days Gone, and I'm a little upset no Days Gone 2. So am I. For some reason, Sony tries to self-destruct after every successful generation. Why is that? Because they get full of themselves? Do you think the remaining damage done to the economy by the pandemic is going to extend the life of this console generation like the recession did for the PS3? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. What causes disc rot? Age, heat, exposure to various things in the air, not taking care of your stuff, and then just, general degradation of the materials that it's made from. Discs won't last forever, but as long as you take care of them, there's no reason why your discs wouldn't last 30, 40 plus years. It's all about how you take care of them. I have discs that I bought. I have music CDs that I bought in the 80s that still work because I take care of my crap. Do you think Walter White underwear was weird? There was Walter White underwear? Wait a minute. Okay, Jeff, I apologize. I'm old and I'm slow. Are you trying to imply that you're building me a guitar? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you were implying? Because now if I'm doubling back and misreading what you said and that's not what's going on, I'm going to feel like I've made you feel really stupid. You kind of caught me in a quandary there. I assumed since I told you about my buddy that that's what you were talking about, was me paying my buddy $2,500 to build me a guitar. Are you suggesting that you're building me a custom guitar, Jeff? Shh is not an answer, Jeff. Do you think the remaining damage done to the economy by the I already answered that. Seventh, did you also like Waterworld with Dennis Hopper? I liked it, but I gotta admit the main character was a huge jerk. I love Waterworld. For me, Waterworld is Mad Max on jet skis. That's all it is. It's Mad Max on the water. And I love Mad Max clones. So for me, it was just another Mad Max clone. Jeff, if I misread that and you were just referring to my buddy Anthony and the deal that I have with him that I decided not to do this year, you can just say, no, I'm not going to be disappointed, man. I just want to make sure that I wasn't, if you were saying that and I misunderstood what you were saying, that you didn't think I was ignoring this incredibly amazing thing that you'd be doing for me. But I don't want you to make you feel guilty if you're not doing it. You've got me stuck in an awkward position here, Jeff, which you seem to like to do because you sit there and kind of laugh at me squirming trying not to say the wrong thing. This is what friends do. Of course, he knows if I had the opportunity to make him squirm a little bit, I'd do the same thing because we were busting each other's balls all the time when we were seeing each other on the regular. Exactly. That's still not a straight answer, Jeff. Oh, good God. Okay, you're just fucking with me now. Well, there went my monetization. This is Jeff just messing with me because he's mad that I still haven't posted the unboxing video from all that cool crap he sent me a few weeks back. I'm sorry, I had to work. I had to work the weekend, so I didn't have a chance to put it together. But I don't have anything planned tomorrow, okay? I'm going to try to get it done tomorrow. The only thing I have planned tomorrow is the company sent me a new laptop, and I have to set it up. Once I'm done with that, I'll shave all this off. I'll put everything together. I'll film all the little pieces that put it all together, and we'll get it done. How much damage is Xbox going to do? How many studios are they going to buy out before Sony gets their act together? Who knows? Who knows what else they have planned? The thing of it is, if they're buying up all these studios and these studios are not all making big AAA, tentpole moment games, then it's just filler for Game Pass. It's going to be games people don't play because they're not playing a lot of the stuff on Game Pass now. They're playing the Gears and they're playing the Forzas and they're playing a lot of the big third-party games that are on there. I've played a couple of the indie games on it, and that's about it. I'm not thinking about it even. God. Jeff having his Napoleon Dynamite moment. I'm not even thinking about it. God. Just kill my suspense, Jeff. What are we talking about a custom guitar? Are you just busting my balls, or what are you talking about? Let's have details, Jeff. The Last of Us Remake, what are your thoughts? It's needless. There's no need for it. Did you like Hideous Mutant Freaks with Alex Winter? I thought that movie was just called Freaked. I remember seeing it. Wasn't that the one where he was like a circus freak or something? I saw it long time ago. And stop eating all of our steaks. What are you talking about? Hey, Jeff. Always and forever. Now I'm laughing because I'm picturing Jeff on his wedding day standing up there on the podium with the priest. Always and forever. Playing it along on guitar. Down, 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 down. Oh. Went down the wrong hole there. Throw in a little arpeggio. Oh, shit. Sometimes I crack myself up. Oh, less than 3%. How did you learn about the birds and the bees? Was it an awkward talk with their parents? It was a talk with my dad. And we were driving to the video store to rent movies. And he decided that was the best time to explain everything. And he explained it to me by describing what it was like to put the long iron to my mom. He explained to me in great detail what it was like to sleep with my mother. And that was how he explained the birds and the bees to me. So yeah, it couldn't have been more awkward. Could not have been more awkward. I'm doing a repro, keeping my skills in check. Hint. I still don't get it, Jeff. I don't get it. Sorry, man. I'm old and forgetful. Why does Solid Rev always go bald? Solid Rev is convinced that he's losing his hair, that he's going bald anyway. So then he gets it in his head, why am I still putting up with this fight? I should just get it over with and shave it all off so I don't even have to think about it anymore. Then he shaves it all off and he ends up looking like one of those pinheads from that old Freak movie from the 30s. Because the top of his head is so much narrower than his jaw is. So it makes it look like his head comes to a point. So, he almost looks like one of the Coneheads. And then he looks at himself in his videos and he's like, oh, this looks awful! And then he grows his hair back. Poor old Rev. Jeff gonna kill you, 7th. Wouldn't be the first time he's threatened to do so. What do you think it'll take for Sony to get their act together? Like I said, they need to dial back on this whole we're only going to make AAA blockbusters and realize that one of the reasons that Sony has continued to be so popular over the years was because of the diversity of their library. If all they have coming out is frickin', big open world action RPG type stuff and or movie-like games like Uncharted, you have to diversify. When on PS3, you had racing games, you had first-person shooters, you had stuff like Little Big Planet platformers. You had all these different genres that Sony was putting out first-party content for. And then last gen, they had Killzone's Shadowfall, and that flopped, and so no more first-person shooters. They haven't had a first-party first-person shooter since. Little Big Planet 3 was not made by Media Molecule. And so, they bring it back for Sackboy, and Sackboy was fun, but let's face it, it was a clone of Super Mario 3D World. They're just dropping the ball, man. They've got to diversify. They've got to diversify. It can't just be, Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Uncharted 5 and Last of Us 3 and... No, because then you're going to end up in a situation where you only have 1 to 2 big first-party releases a year. And then you're in Nintendo territory. So no, it's bad idea. I knew more than my parents when they finally came to me about sex ed, but at least my parents tried. I feel for kids that don't even get that nowadays. Well, I grew up in a very conservative household, not politically wise, but just belief system wise, because my dad was born in the 40s and he was ex-cop, ex-military, and but with a sick sense of humor, and also former rock musician. But my mom was diehard Southern Pentecostal Christian, Church of God and whatnot. And so, and when I was growing up, crap was a bad word. You know what I'm saying? And she wasn't going to talk about it because she didn't know anything about it until her wedding night. You know what I'm saying? She had never gotten the talk with the parents at all. None of it had been explained to her. My dad had to explain everything to her. And so I sure wasn't going to get anything from them. So it had to come from my dad. And of course, my dad, cop, how's he going to do it? Here's what it's like to shtup your mom. Oh, God. I'll never forget that as long as I live. 7th, I bet you wanted to get out of the car. I think Solid Rev wants to look like Kratos. He looks more like a Foogly from Spy Kids. Foogles, whatever. He looks like one of those weird little monster characters from Spy Kids. Robin headstocks and the geometry easy to replicate, by the way. Heh heh heh. Are you saying that you're trying to build me a Robin? That's not going to be easy to do, Jeff. Because the way the Robins were designed, where the pickups weren't straight, they were angled and all that crap. So you're going to have to find like a Robin headstock and a Robin body. PJ Marks don't make those double wound pickups anymore. So the only way you're going to be able to get that kind of that level of sustain is to go active, which means that you're going to have find a body that has a place to put a 9-volt battery in there to power a powered humbucker. And I don't know how you're going to do that. That's going to be hard, Jeff. Those parts aren't easy to come by anymore. I know, I've looked. Robins were weird. I mean, it's like I told you with my friend Anthony. The thing that excited me the most about him building one was that it was going to be a guitar that a friend built for me. That was what was going to make it special for me. And if you're doing the same thing, Jesus Christ, Jeff, I have not done anything to earn that, sir. But that if you actually do that, if you pull off building me a guitar that plays and sounds and feels like my Robin Medley did, that I can't get back, that'll be the greatest gift that anybody's ever got me, including everything that my dad ever got me, which is saying a lot. Mod Nation Racer sucked. It was all right on the PSP, but the PS3 version sucked. I did a review about it a long while back. Frame rate was terrible, and it had rubber banding worse than any Mario Kart I've ever played. Resistance was awesome, but they ruined it with Resistance 2 because they killed off Nathan Hale too soon. Nathan Hale dying should have been the way the third game ended, not the second game. Who is the best playable character in Borderlands 3? It's been so long since I beat Borderlands 3 that I don't even remember what character I used. I think I used the one who's... I think the character I used was the one who had a mech. I can't remember now. Had the little mech suit. I personally never was a big fan of Gravity Rush, but I understand why some people like it. Seventh, your laugh is contagious. You almost killed me earlier. I wasn't even... My laugh, when I really get going, is pretty obnoxious. I mean, you've heard me before. That was just me getting the giggles. Seventh, did that sound like an awkward talk that you had? Seventh, that did sound like an awkward talk. I found out about the Birds of the Bees when I stumbled across one of my older siblings' prawn tapes when I was 5. Oh, Lord. And Hustler. If Dr. Giggles was a video game, would you buy it? Depending on the type of video game it was. PS3 version had bad load times. It had bad load times. It had bad multiplayer because of the connection speeds. It had bad frame rate. It had bad rubber banding. It had bad lots of things. I think you're looking at back on it with a little bit of rose-tinted glasses there. The PSP version was better than the PS3 version. That's what's crazy about it. The PSP version was actually pretty decent. But that PS3 version... Oh, no. Even though Sony didn't make it, I tell you what I wish would have turned into a series was 3D Dot Game Heroes. I would have loved for that to still be going on now. For that to have sold well so we got sequels for it. Will you be picking up anything digital before the... No, I've gotten everything I want out of those systems. There's nothing digital that I want to buy. If I buy anything further for those, it'll be physical copies only. Physical copies only. Mostly replacing ones that I've lost. Like, for instance, I used to have Africa for PS3. That stupid game where you drove around taking pictures of zebras and crap. I used to have that game. And the most recent ex-Mrs. 7th borrowed it. And then we split up, and she kept the disc. So now I have this nice shiny Africa case, but I don't have the actual game disc. And she took a stack of about 10 or 15 of my games. So I've got like a stack of 10 or 15 empty boxes that I'm slowly replacing the contents of. Pain in the ass. 7. Do you think the original Legend of Zelda aged poorly due to how cryptic it was in beating and solving its puzzles? I know it was in the 80s, but still, you needed Nintendo power. No, because it's easier to find that stuff now than it ever was when the game actually came out. Yeah, you can find complete walkthroughs on YouTube, Game Facts, wherever you want to go. You can find everything you need to do in that game step by step. So it's easier to play the game now than it was when it was released. So no, it hasn't aged poorly at all. It's aged like a fine wine. Republic of Credit? No, I need something more real. Magic powers. What's your take on the Heavy Metal movie and its sequel? Sequel sucked. First one was okay. Sequel was kind of meh. It's like nobody was asking for it, you know what I mean? Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I didn't like that movie at all. It was terrible. I got a message here. Let me see what this message is. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. What? What do you want? What? Oh, some dogs in the neighbor's yard's getting into a fight over there. What was that about? Eighth sending me weird stuff. Let's see here. Sony closing stores online, but let you still download them. People cry Nintendo. Don't let you play download. That's not a question. Have you ever been stung on the bottom of the foot by a bumblebee? No, but I've been stung on the lip by a yellow jacket. Unbeknownst to me, but knownst to yellow jackets, yellow jackets can sometimes build their nests in holes in the ground. And we're not talking about dirt daubers or mud daubers. We're talking about yellow jackets. I know what a yellow jacket looks like. One day I was walking home from school. The bus got to where it didn't want to drive all the way down to the bottom of the neighborhood. It would stop at the top of the neighborhood and drop the kids off and then do a U-turn and leave. And so I had to walk all the way down the hill to the bottom of the neighborhood. And rather than walk all the way to the end of the circle and then walk down the street, I would just cut through everybody's yards because everyone knew me and they didn't care. And so I'm walking between these two houses, and I see a hole in the ground, big old hole in the ground, like this. And I thought, looks like a dog's been digging or something. And so I broke into a run, and I planted my foot right at the edge of the hole and leaped over it for no particular reason, just to do it because, dumb kid. Little did I know, there was a yellow jacket nest in there, and they swarmed at me. So I'm running, hauling ass down this hill, full speed, trying to get to my house before I get stung. One of them came flying around right into my lip. And so it's re-stinging me because, yellow jackets can re-sting. They're like wasps. And it's re-stinging me in my lip. And I'm a motherfucker. And I went, and I've double demonetized myself now. Went running into the house, and I grabbed it like this and squished and threw it. And I looked at my lip, and I had stings all the way across here. And my whole lip swelled up like this. I looked like a complete tool. I didn't go to school the next day because of the embarrassment of what it would be like trying to talk and walking around with this giant pink bubble stuck to my face. Meanwhile, my grandmother, who was still alive at the time, she sees me and sees my lip already swelling. And that yellow jacket was still alive. And when I tossed it away from my lip, it had landed in the recliner in the living room. And it was crawling around on the recliner. And my grandmother goes, And she walks over and grabs the phone book. And she was like, "Look what you did to my baby!" And she throws the phone book down on this yellow jacket. And she's just beating it. "Look what you did to my baby!" I'll never forget that as long as I live either. It was hilarious. And so, here I am with my lip in pain and swelling up, but I'm laughing because I'm watching her murder the crap out of this dying yellow jacket because the yellow jacket done did something to her baby. How can you tell if a dog is dangerous? If it threatens to bite you. If it growls, just keep on walking. Don't turn your back on it, and don't run. Yeah, ears back. Ears back, bear's teeth. The hair stands up on the back, running down its spine. Yeah, it's ready to put a hurting on you. Red wasp versus yellow jacket. I've been stung by both. Red wasp hurts more. Bigger stinger. I would ask Eighth if he wanted to come in here and introduce y'all to the new puppy, but the fact that he's not in the chat would lead me to believe that he's busy doing something else right now anyway. Was there ever a CW that you liked? Do you mean a show on the CW? What's your favorite Sony first-party studio? Ooh, it's toughy. That's toughy. That's toughy. As of right now, Sony Santa Monica. I'm not really a fan of what Naughty Dog's been doing lately. I haven't liked either of their most recent three games, really. I didn't like Lost Legacy. I sure as heck didn't like Last of Us 2, and I wasn't a huge fan of Uncharted 4, so yeah. Yeah, I enjoy my PS5. I haven't been able to game much on it lately, but I enjoy it. Favorite a CW show that you've liked? Supernatural. That's been about it. Supernatural. I liked it. That being said, I didn't even watch the last season of it because by the time they finally decided to end it, I'd lost interest in it. Smithy, howdy, 7th. Well, howdy, stranger. Come on in. Sit down for a spell. Have some sarsaparilla. I want to return to the Jack series, but Naughty Dog is so different now. Yeah, I don't think they're the studio to make that anymore. I just don't think that it's a good fit for them at this juncture, as El Presidor used to say. Not at all. Not at all. I assume you've talked about Godzilla already. Yeah, I've already talked about Godzilla. What's your favorite Alien movie? The second one, with the Jim Cameron one. I like that one. And I love the James Horner soundtrack, even though he ripped off his own soundtracks of Star Trek II and Krull to make it. There's several sections of the Aliens soundtrack that's taken straight from his own previous scores for Krull and Star Trek II and III. What's that about? Oh, you ain't missing much, Smith. I basically just said I really liked it and that it went down more or less exactly the way I predicted it would. That they fought for a while and then they teamed up to fight a bigger threat, which would most likely end up being Mechagodzilla. I was right. What's inside me? Sounds like a personal question. That sounds like something you should be asking your proctologist, not me. Thank you. Seventh, is Apollo 13 Ron Howard's best movie? Probably. Me, myself, I'd probably go with Cocoon. I think that was a Ron Howard film. I really liked Cocoon. I mean, yeah, he was ripping off Spielberg with that movie, but I liked it. Seventh, do you like Tom Hanks movies? It depends on the movie. Like, I didn't like any of his, Da Vinci Code crap. I didn't care for any of that. What's your favorite Final Fantasy game? Probably... Years ago, I would have said 7, but I'm kind of burnt out on 7 now. I've also said 6 from time to time, and I still kind of feel that way. But asking me now, it'd probably be a tie between 10 and 12, with the needle starting to lean towards 12. I upgrade my phone every 4 years. Do you think that's too long or too short? I upgrade my phone when the battery won't hold a charge anymore. That's when I that's when I upgrade phones. Like this one I bought in 2017 and I'm still using it because it still holds a charge. Do you like Mars Invades? Do you mean Mars Attacks? There was Mars Attacks and Invaders from Mars. They're two different movies. Invaders from Mars was a remake of a 1950s movie. The one that was made in the 80s was directed by Tobe Hooper of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame, and it's fun. And Mars Attacks was a Tim Burton movie based on bubblegum cards. So, 7th, do you like war movies like Saving Private Ryan? Saving Private Ryan was okay. It's not something that I ever craved to go back and watch again. You know, I've seen it twice. That was enough for me. But I'll rewatch Full Metal Jacket anytime, you know, I happen across it. So, Mars Attacks had funny moments in it, but it's not one of Tim Burton's better films. I think some of it is funny. I rewatched it with Eighth a few months ago, and he didn't like it at all. And he loves Tim Burton movies, but he didn't like that one. He just felt it was too stupid. What's your favorite HBO miniseries? I don't know, man. I never really got into HBO's miniseries. I've watched their regular series, you know, like Breaking Bad and whatnot, but I never really got into their miniseries all that much. And of course, the first, you know, 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. Jeff has disappeared. He drops a bomb on me that he's trying to build me a custom Robin, and then he disappears. Here's what I want you to do, Jeff. If you do actually build me a custom Robin, when you get that headstock, that Robin headstock, underneath it, where it says Robin, I want you to get, you know, a custom sticker or engraving on there that says Vampire or Vaudeville Edition. Something to signify that you made it for me. Right under where it says Robin. That's what I want. 7th, did you get all your music recording gear yet? Yes. Yes, I got my audio interface. I got my recording mic, my mic stand, my all the cables I needed, the guitar pedal. I've got all of it. It's just a matter of actually having the free time to sit down and record some new music. I got rid of cable TV years ago. Years and years ago, back when I was still living in North Carolina. I got rid of it back then. And at the time, I just had Netflix and Amazon Prime. And eventually, I added Hulu to that. And then I added Disney Plus to that. And then I added HBO Max to that. And also now Funimation, because 8th wanted it. And 8th is also talking about wanting me to get Crunchyroll too, because Crunchyroll gets shows that he wants to watch that Funimation doesn't have. So yeah, so I'm at the point now where getting rid of cable TV hasn't really saved me any money. But you know, it is what it is. I watch what I want when I want without having to worry about a DVR. So we're good. We're good. Da-dum-dum-dum-dum. I'm loving it. Oh. I would love to eat a great big old New York style pizza right now, but I know it would make me sick. I know without a doubt in my mind it would make me sick. 7th, what do you think Sony's response to Game Pass will be? Talked about that earlier too, Smith. What I suggested was most likely it would just be a modified version of PS Now, to make PS Now more like Game Pass, and possibly bundle it into some kind of equivalent of Xbox Ultimate, where you got PS Plus and PS Now together in a monthly fee. That's my guess. 7th, when you were younger, weren't you good at getting under the skins of your teachers and trolling them? Yes, I was extremely good at it. Extremely good at it. Learning how to push people's buttons was something that I picked up at a very early age. I don't know how or why, it just came naturally to me. I had a natural affinity for being able to get under people's skin. I don't know. Just something I developed. No idea where it came from. It was just there. 7th, did you add extra storage to your PS5? Well, they don't have the SSDs out yet. So I've added an external hard drive that I have all my PS4 games installed on, but that's about it. Are you thinking about Paramount Plus, or is that one too many streaming services? I got the trial of Paramount Plus, and, when I realized that almost all of it was just, boring CBS shows. CBS. Freudian slip there. When I saw that it was mostly just old, boring CBS shows, I decided then that I wasn't going to keep it, because there's not enough original content on there to keep me interested. The animated Star Trek show was kind of funny in a Family Guy meets Rick and Morty kind of way, but Star Trek Discovery is garbage, and Star Trek Picard is garbage too. So, do you like Dr. Sleep? Yes, I like Dr. Sleep. It's like Mr. Wizard the anime. I like it. 7th, I was able to get RetroArch running on my Xbox Series X, and I've been playing GameCube games. It's honestly blowing my mind. RetroArch is it's a pretty good app, man. You can get it running on a lot of different things. It's a good app to have if you want to be doing emulation. I have a GameCube, so I'm not that concerned about it. I have a Wii that plays GameCube games, And people saying, why is it that people have a problem with re-releasing old games on PS5, but yet you have all these Wii U games that went to the Switch? Well, you can take a PS4 game, put it in your PS5, and it works. You can't take a Wii U game and stick it in your Switch and it works, because it's a disc. It's not a cart. Not the same thing. That being said, I'm not that big a fan of porting the Wii U games to the Switch either, because that's what they've done to pad their library out instead of just making new games. But for someone who never owned a Wii U, it's great. These are new games for them. But I own a Wii U, so it feels like buying crap I've already bought and played, which it is. Ah, crap. Well, 1 minute short, Ultra Steel. 1 minute short. Jump the gun a little bit. 7th, will Star Trek ever go back to its slow, boring roots, or are we stuck with the new dumb Star Trek? Well, they just announced that there's a new Star Trek movie coming in 2023, but we don't know if it's continuing the movies from, Chris Pine and all that, or if it's another reboot. We don't know yet. Why did they turn Spock into a villain? Well, you think he's a villain, and then he ends up not being a villain. If you're talking about Star Trek Discovery, You have to torture yourself by watching the whole story to see what it's all about. That being said, one hour remaining. We have had $15 in donations. We are still $35 short of the 10 o'clock goal. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this evening, fine friends. I really need to get back on a schedule. It's just that with everything going on with work and everything, I just haven't felt all that creative. You know, used to back in the day when I was doing the Trey Brotherhood thing, I'd go to work, I'd work all day, I'd come home, I'd eat dinner, and then watch TV for 2 hours, then step in front of the camcorder, record something completely off the cuff, and then upload it the next day. I'd do that on a Monday, upload it on a Tuesday, and that was my schedule. You got one video a week. And whatever popularity I ever had was built off of that. One video a week. And, you know, I ought to at least get back to doing that. But it's hard. Because I never know whether I'm only going to be working an 8-hour shift or not. And after sitting in this chair for 8 hours, it's hard to sit in it again with what little free time I have these days and record a video. It's really hard. CBS lost 50% of its stock because of a woke trek. Was there a prequel or spin-off to The Shining? There was a sequel to The Shining called Dr. Sleep. 7th, do you think Doomcock overanalyzed some aspects of Godzilla vs. Kong? I didn't watch his video about it. I know the Madison bit was a weak part of the story, but I don't see it as SJW. I didn't see it as SJW stuff. I didn't see anything SJW about that film at all, really. Do you think Keanu Reeves is one of those actors that started as a crappy actor but only got better as time went on? Well, you know, actors that care about their trade get better over time anyway, but I think a lot of it just came from the fact that in his early years he was typecast as the dumb surfer dude. I mean, the character that he played in Bill and Ted was basically the same character that he played in Parenthood, just without the time machine, you know? He just played the dumb, good-hearted surfer boy through a lot of his early career. And he didn't detach himself enough from that persona in some of his later roles. Like, for example, in The Matrix, where he's like, whoa, you know? Hi, Jordan Dog. What do you think about the Netflix Spider-Man deal? I don't know what you mean by the Netflix Spider-Man deal. I know there was a Netflix Sony deal where all new Sony movies are going to come to Netflix first once they leave the theater. But it wasn't specific to Spider-Man, so I'm not sure what you meant by that. Do you like the movie 2012? As a dumb disaster movie, yeah, I like it. Do you like KFC's food? I like their fried chicken, but since I've moved to Texas, I prefer Golden Chick. I think it's better. I would be okay if you just whipped out your phone and did random videos like El Presador. Do you think the We Got This Covered website is inaccurate? I'm not even familiar with that website. 7th, do you think Robert Downey Jr.'s story about coming out of a dark place in his past to becoming a beloved actor is impressive? I'm happy for him, but I wouldn't say that it's impressive. What would have been impressive to me is where his career would be now if he had never gotten into that stuff in the first place. But I am happy for him that he was able to get off the stuff. Do you think the Spider-Man 4 rumor is true? I don't know what rumor that is. The only thing that I've heard is the whole thing about Tobey Maguire being in the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I haven't heard anything about a Spider-Man 4. Man, what is up with that dog? That dog has been barking from almost the entire stream. RDJ and Tropic Thunder was so funny. I It's so weird to me that people are getting offended by that now, because the whole point of his role was to make fun of actors that were so full of themselves in regards to their craft that they felt they could play any role. That was the whole point of it. It wasn't that he was in blackface. It was that he was playing an actor who would be dumb enough to do blackface. That was the point. It was making fun of an actor who would do such a thing. And people are acting all offended by it. It's a very meta role. Robert Downey Jr. did blackface to make fun of actors who would have been dumb enough to do blackface. It's kind of ingenious, but it's silly for people to retroactively get angry about it now. And yes, the characters in the movie point out what a stupid thing it is to do. They don't celebrate him doing it. Oh, what a genius. They don't. They mock him relentlessly. Especially, the legit black guy in the movie was just giving him the hardest time about it. 7th, what kind of chicken are you going to put in your KFC console? None, because I ain't going to get one. I love Tropic Thunder. I think it's a hilarious movie. I liked the fake trailers in it too. Like the trailer for him where Downey's character and Tobey Maguire were like gay monks. Which that was kind of a trend back in the early 2000s. Were these like full of themselves forbidden love movies. And so you had like straight people playing gay roles to, try to go for Oscar bait, And that's what that movie was making fun of. That trailer, anyway. Do you know General MLD is a friend of Black Bond? Have you heard of him? He's an Xbox. Who? Smithy. That scene where he's quoting the theme song to, what was it? The Jeffersons. He's quoting the theme song to the Jeffersons, trying to have like an Oscar moment. God. Do you think Xbox first party has more AAA and relevant studios than PlayStation? Well, and this isn't fanboyism. I don't really consider Bethesda AAA and haven't for a while. They have, in my estimation, they haven't put out anything decent since Skyrim. id Software is AAA, without question. Machine Gun Games were AAA before they put out that horrendous, most recent Wolfenstein game. The third one they made, the third full game that they made, that one with his daughters or whatever, the game was atrocious. I wouldn't consider Ninja Theory to be AAA because they haven't had anything that was just a massive breakout success that spawned a series. They did Heavenly Sword. It was a God of War ripoff, more or less, old school God of War, not new God of War. And it was okay, but it wasn't like groundbreaking. Mostly people loved it because it came out during a PS3 drought where they could pick between Heavenly Sword and Lair. Anything looks good compared to Lair. What else? They put out the reboot of Devil May Cry, which I did not care for. They put out that yet another, I can't remember the name of it now, Enslaved, which was yet another Journey to the West interpretation, and it was okay, but I think it would have turned out a lot better if it had been on modern hardware instead of that particular generation, because neither the 360 nor the PS3 could really do it justice. Its frame rate and screen tearing all over the place. And now they have Hellblade, and Hellblade is just really a walking simulator about mental illness that has a little bit of combat thrown into it. Incredibly repetitious combat. So, I don't really consider them AAA either. We haven't seen what the new Perfect Dark's going to be like. That's a new studio. 343, well, the studio that makes Gears 5 is still putting out, games that play like Gears and look like Gears. Then you have the studios that are putting out the Horizon games, or not the Forza Horizons, which Forza Horizons best racing series out on the market right now. So, some of them are AAA, some of them ain't. Seventh, can you sing that song you'd sing at Jeff's wedding again? Always and forever. That's from Napoleon Dynamite, Ultra Steel. It was a Napoleon Dynamite joke. Yeah, Wolfenstein Youngblood. That game was a piece of crap. Seventh, is David Scott Jaffe a lolcow? I don't know. I haven't watched him in a long time. Do you think PlayStation is restricting creativity while Xbox embraces it? Well, it's hard. Sony is definitely restricting some creativity. We don't really know with Xbox because they haven't put out any new games yet. They're just talking about all the games they're going to put out. We'll see. Medium was, but then again, Medium was basically an indie game that Microsoft helped get published. So people had way too many high expectations on it because it was just a new game for Series X for them to brag about. And then it came out, and guess what? It wasn't what you thought it was going to be. Yes, if Del Toro could do Hellboy 3 with Ron Perlman, I would want to see it. Get this work. Yo! I need to watch Tropic Thunder now. I own it on Amazon Prime. Thing I don't like about Amazon Prime is that ever since they upgraded their software for PS5, the image is too dark. You watch a movie on Amazon Prime and then you go over to HBO or any other platform and watch that same movie. You can see it clear as day on HBO or Netflix or whatever, but the Amazon Prime version is it's like your TV has the brightness turned down too low. It's weird. And it's been that way ever since the PS5 came out. Irritates me. Will you check out General MLD after the... Who? Can you answer why there's not a king werewolf like Dracula is to vampires? Well, you had the Wolfman, and what was his name in that original Wolfman movie? Talbot, something Talbot. I've been watching a lot of movies lately. A lot of movies, a lot of shows. I watched that new anime on Netflix, the Yakuza House Husband or whatever. That was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, but they only made 6 episodes of it. But it is hilarious. I got a good laugh out of that one. The only thing that sucks about it is the animation. There's so little actual animation, it's almost like watching a digital comic. There's very little actual movement in that show. But it is funny. I've seen a couple of videos on MLD bashing Sony, praising Xbox. Xbox fanboy sheep, never again go that channel. He's mostly wrong what he talks about. Who? First 2 Hellboys were good. Third one they made was not so good. Yeah, because it was a reboot and it was terrible. It wasn't Del Toro and it wasn't the same actor. The guy that played Hellboy in the third one is the actor that plays the sheriff in Stranger Things. And I'm not saying he did bad in it. He was a perfectly fine Hellboy. It was just a really bad script. Really bad script. CGI was fine. Music was fine. Acting was fine. Bad script. MLD? Who? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. M. Bison from Street Fighter the movie. Of course! Why do you keep saying who about General MLD? Who? You guys keep asking me all these questions about this person that I have clearly and totally never, ever heard of. And it's strange. You would think that with the way you guys are doing that there's some kind of established history there or something. It's really odd. Seventh, do you think Barney the dinosaur was creepy? Yeah, he came across to me as like, the creepy clown at the kid's birthday party that the parents thought were great, but the kids didn't want to be anywhere near. General MLD was an Xbox YouTuber that returned to YouTube after taking an 8-year hiatus from YouTube gaming. He inspired Black... Who? You guys keep bringing him up like there's a history between me and him. Like I had done lots of response videos and debates with him or something. It's really confusing. Which is more evil, Barney or Teletubbies? Yes. I think the one that disturbed me the most was probably the Goombas or whatever they were called, the Boobas. Because they didn't, they were just, they looked like squishy cush balls with little tiny heads poking out of the top, and they just make baby noises. It was disturbing. Yeah, I know MLD, but why? Who? Guys, just I don't know what it is y'all are trying to pull on me, but it's not going to work. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Mr. I liked Mr. Rogers. I liked old Mr. Rogers. I watched him when I was little. When I was little, I watched Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and the Letter People and the Electric Company. And those were my 4 big shows. Those were my 4 big uns. And when I first got cable, I watched Pinwheel a couple of times on Nickelodeon. But by that point, I was like 7 or 8 years old, so I was past the age range for that kind of thing. But I watched it a couple of times, and I picked up there was like these 2 little twin puppets that were supposed to be like twin brothers, and they were always pinching each other and going, "Got you last, got you last, got you last." And I picked that up, and I started doing that to my grandmother, and it became this game between me and my grandmother. So, she'd forget about it, and she'd be walking into the kitchen, and I'd walk up behind her, and I'd pinch her on the arm and say, "Got you last," and then I'd bolt. And then I'd forget about it, and I'd be sitting there at the table doing homework, and she'd slap me across the back of the head and say, "Got you last, turd." I had a weird but funny relationship with my grandmother. She was great. Who? I could not get into the Doom VR style of play. Did you like Doom VR? I didn't play it. We have it. 8th played it. You'd have to ask him. General MLD is a massive fanboy. I've only seen 4 of his videos and can already tell he is a fanboy and stopped watching him. Who? 7th, did you see that Tom Hanks' Mr. Rogers movie? Was it any good? It was all right. It wasn't the biography type movie that I was, story of his life movie that I was expecting. Instead, it's about this one specific instance where this magazine journalist went to interview him, and the effect that Rogers had on the journalist's life. That's what the movie's actually about. And I mean, I liked it, and I liked Tom Hanks's interpretation of the character, even though he didn't look or sound anything like Fred Rogers. But I would have preferred an actual biography movie of him. What was that Ed Norton and Robin Williams movie that did a satire of Barney the dinosaur? Death to Smoochie. I love that movie. Death to Smoochie is one of my favorite dark comedies. I love it. Death to Smoochie. And the thing of it is, I'd seen it before years and years ago and absolutely adored it. And a couple of years back, after we moved here to Texas, it showed up on Amazon Prime, and I bought it without thinking twice about it. And I was like, "Yo, 8th, you got to sit down and watch this Robin Williams movie, man." And he likes some Robin Williams stuff, but I wouldn't call him a big fan of Robin Williams. And he was like, "I don't know if I'm in the mood for that." I'm like, just watch it, just watch it. And now he loves it. He loves that movie. It's one of my favorite Robin Williams films, because he just goes completely over the deep end in that movie, and I loved it to death. Death to Smoochie is an unsung classic of dark comedy. It almost feels like a Coen Brothers comedy. It almost feels like a Coen Brothers. I really enjoy it. They made a documentary, Smithy, but I'm talking about an actual acted movie, not a documentary. 7th, did 8th ever see Willy's Wonderland? No. Because it only recently got to where you could rent it for $5, and we're just going to wait till it's free, because, I mean, it was produced by Shudder, so I know eventually it's going to show up on Shudder, and then I won't have to pay for it to watch it. Just because somebody is associated with Black Bond doesn't mean that it's going to be good content. You know, I like Black Bond. I get along with Black Bond. I don't like, every person that he's ever worked with or interacted with. Hell, I'm associated with Black Bond, and there are people out there that'll tell you that my content is garbage. So, I get along just fine with Black Bond. I get along with Black Bond just fine. Have for years. I've known Black Bond for over 10 years now. I wouldn't call him a friend because he doesn't believe in internet friendships. But as far as knowing someone online like we do in the YouTube community, he and I get along just fine. No issues with him at all. Did you see Solid Rev is buying back his PS3 collection again? Yeah, I trolled him a little bit on Twitter about it. I sent this little video where I just took games off my shelf and stacked them in front of my camera and filmed it, showing that, with the exception of the James Bond game that he bought, I already had, mint condition copies of everything that he bought. I wonder what model PS3 he has now. If he still has his fat, or if he's just rocking the PS Mini with the sliding door, or what he's got now hardware wise. I'm now at a point where I have a version of every model of PS3 thanks to Jeff, because, well, you're going to see the unboxing, but I've pretty much got like a version of every model of PS3 that was ever released. Black Bond is often factual in what he says, and I agree with a lot of his criticisms on Nintendo, but I'll admit he is a troll. Do you agree? Oh, he's absolutely a troll. Did you like the Boondocks? And are anticipating? I'm not anticipating the reboot, but I did like the Boondocks. I was disappointed that we never got that live-action Uncle Ruckus movie that they kept teasing for forever. While 7th, I would have thought the topic of today's vid would have been Godzilla vs. Kong, not Sony screwing up. I didn't have as much to say about Godzilla vs. Kong. I really liked it. That's about it. It's not a movie where you could sit and spend a lot of time going over the plot like you could with the Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Godzilla fought Kong, and then they fought somebody else, which is what I said they would do. General MLD versus Blackie Lebowski. Well, I can't really do a comparison there, Shadow Deist, since I clearly have, no past knowledge of General MLD whatsoever. So I can only comment on the fact that Blackie Lebowski was a nutcase. Everyone is a little troll sometimes. I'm a lot of troll a lot of the time. They probably would have used Uncle Ruckus to make fun of Trump supporters or something. Probably would have. I could see that being the direction they would go in. So which did you like better, Godzilla vs. Kong or the Snyder Cut? Two totally different experiences. I think Godzilla vs. Kong could have been a little longer. It felt like a short movie. And yes, I know he said that he had 5 hours of footage he didn't even use, but I'll bet you the majority of that was human footage that we wouldn't have wanted in there anyway. Remember Hooge. Who could forget the water buffalo? Who could forget? 7th, did you like the Hollow Earth storyline? Yeah, in a Jules Verne kind of way, yeah. A Jules Verne, H.G. Wells kind of way. It did, and reminded me of Journey to the Center of the Earth. I like stories like that. So do I. Are you allowed to drink orange juice? No, it's got too much sugar content. Too much sugar. And plus, it's very acidic, and that doesn't sit well with my stomach, even if it wasn't an issue with the sugar. Hair's growing back again. I'm going to have to shave all that off. Hair is starting to grow back. Got to shave all that off. Got to shave all this off. When my hair, I end up looking older when I let my hair grow back in because so much of it is turning gray. I'll just keep it shaved all the time, but I'm being lazy because, I don't go anywhere. The first video I ever saw of you was when you were listing off exclusives on the PS3 and comparing them to the 360s in a kitchen. Oh, well, that was the video where I predicted that the PS3 would eventually overtake the 360 because it would end up having a bigger first party and third party exclusive library. That was a very long video, and yeah, at that point, I was filming all of my videos in the kitchen because that was the best place where I could set up a camera. That's a very old video. I don't even have a copy of that video anymore. Thoughts on mukbang YouTube? I don't even know what that is. Legit, I don't know. I've heard people talk about mukbang, and I have no idea what that is at all. It sounds like a Ligma joke. Hey, have you heard about that mukbang? What's mukbang? It's a punchline. Like, man, did you see that mukbang on YouTube? What's mukbang? Mukbang your mom. I don't know. It sounds like one of those kind of jokes. Who knows what happened to Hooge? The man had known mental problems, and every time he'd go off of his meds, he'd show back up on YouTube. I have no idea where he is now or what he's doing, nor do I care. He could be sitting in a padded room in a straitjacket making crayon art with his toes. I have no idea. Mukbang is people who film themselves eating food and then upload it for people to watch. Why is it called mukbang? Do they take breaks between bites of their food to bang some muck? I don't get the reference. Why is it called mukbang? Why isn't it called YouTube face stuffers or something like that? Something that's actually relevant to the fact that they're filming themselves eating food. Or are mukbang, it's not just people eating food. Are mukbangers the ones that actually sit and stuff their face and they're not just regular eating. They're sitting there and grabbing spaghetti and shoving it into their mouth and that kind of thing. Because I saw one of them on one of those oddity of the internet collection videos, and it was this this Asian woman, and she was sitting and eating just disgusting amounts of food, and it was like she was sitting on the floor with a table up like this, and she was just grabbing it by the handful and shoving it in her mouth and getting it all over herself. I'm assuming that's a mukbanger. Mukbang is an absurd amount of food in either Korean or some other Asian language. Huh. Do you remember Fat Gamer's podcast when he kicked Black Bond out? Vaguely. I didn't know MLD made new videos. That's hilarious. Who? I mean, I don't know why you keep bringing this person that I've never heard of up to me. What's the deal? why do y'all care so much about referencing whoever this person is to me repeatedly? Even if it was someone that I had a long and storied history with, if they had left for a long time and came back, there's no way that I would bother wasting my time with such a person, with the exception of the possibility of them calling me out directly. Then I might be interested in pursuing such a thing. But since this is someone I've never heard of, that's never going to happen. I'm 46 years old and I have an established reputation. I don't go looking for trouble. If they want trouble from me, they can come ask for it. Perhaps if this was someone that I had a storied history with, which it clearly is not, and my millions and millions of fans were flooding his comments, uh, calling him out to call me out, that might be something. But that's clearly never going to happen because, my fans are way too classy for that, and, would never happen. Did you like the Journey to the Center of the Earth remake with Brendan Fraser? Yeah, that was a pretty good movie. It wasn't the greatest. Had some campiness to it. And the sequel they did with The Rock wasn't too bad either. Do you think that Metroid Prime 4 will come out on Switch? Who knows at this point, man? The original studio that they were having do it apparently screwed up so bad that Nintendo scrapped the whole thing and then said, nope, we're sending it back to the retro guys and going to have the original team do it, and then you haven't heard or seen nothing since. So who knows? Do you think Fat Gamer and Super Brothers destroyed themselves, I'm guessing, on Best of Both Worlds? I haven't watched Best of Both Worlds in a while because they don't do it that often anymore. What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen happen to a C worker at your job? What do you mean by CP, enemy? That's a very loaded question, sir. How old were you when the Sci-Fi Channel used to do summer anime festivals? I was in my early 20s. Do you think Doomcock will ever show his face? Well, I mean, he's wore a wrestler mask. I've seen him. He did a video once on Geeks and Gamers, I think, which is a channel that I'm not sub to. I don't watch it on a regular basis. But he did a video where he went to hang out with the guy that does Geeks and Gamers. And he was wearing a pro wrestler mask, like a luchador mask, and I think that's probably the closest to seeing his face we'll ever come. However, he did the other day, like a few weeks ago, he accidentally posted a video where he forgot to put in the voice changer effect, and so you just got his regular voice in there instead, and it's surprising how much of a different feel it had from not having that voice changer effect on there. 7th, did you laugh and shake your head when you found out about the Last of Us remake, or were you just confused? I didn't understand it. I don't know why we need it. It already runs at 60 frames per second on the PS5, so what's the point of remaking it again? Unless, heaven forbid, they're planning to redo the character models to look like the actors from the HBO show, in which case that's going to be a freaking joke. Do you like the direction for Final Fantasy 16 so far? I neither like nor hate it. I still prefer the old school turn-based Final Fantasy. I'm not like a huge fan of the action-based Final Fantasy games that have been coming out since 15. Maybe that's just me. I'm surprised JTech still uploads because there are still people stupid enough to watch him. I remember the I must destroy all YouTuber. I don't remember whoever that is. We got 20 minutes left, and we're still $35 short of the goal. Metroid Prime 4 might be one of those last games to be developed for the Switch. We'll see. I played The Last of Us once on PS3, and then I never replayed it. Yeah, I don't like it as much as other people do. I meant, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen happen to a coworker? Most embarrassing thing that I ever saw happen to a coworker. Saw a manager who his chair had been messed with. They had removed the hydraulics from the chair, so when he went to sit down in it, the whole chair went straight down like this to the base, and he fell backwards out of the chair. And for whatever reason, he had decided to go commando that day. And when he fell backwards, the seam of the crotch in his dress pants ripped, and his balls fell right out of his pants. That's the most embarrassing thing I ever saw happen to a coworker. 7th, I'm thinking about getting Godfall. Do you recommend it? I haven't played it. I have not heard good things. But I have not played it. Oh, look, it's Strike 3. Imagine that. I'll have to do something about that. Oh my. My. A do do do. A do 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 do. A do 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 do. A do 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 do. What's up, 7th? Are you gonna get Danganronpa? I have no idea what Danganronpa is. Goodbye, farewell, Advita saying goodbye. Are you getting Returnal? Are you hyped for it? I am getting it because 8th wants it. I'm not hyped for it because I'm not big on roguelikes. I'm interested in playing it because it's made by Housemarque and they do great arcade style stuff. And I'm curious about how a third-person shooter that has arcade elements like bullet hell and whatnot is going to play. We shall see. How's 8th doing? He's doing fine. Did you get 50 tonight? No, I did not. We're at $15 with 15 minutes left. Do you think there should be a Ratchet and Clank collection, or has that ship sailed? Well, they did it once on PS3 already, but there hasn't been one in a while. Did you like Hunger Games? Hell no. 7th, I really wish instead of getting the Alien prequels that we got the Alien 5 sequel. I wanted to see a full-scale xenomorph invasion of Earth. That's what I wanted to see. So, scores of xenomorphs trying to take over the Earth with the colonial marines fighting them. That's what I wanted to see, and we never got it. Yeah, I liked Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time. Into the Nexus was okay, but it was short. It was shorter than the other two, almost like it was a DLC that they tried to release as a full release game, and they cut the frame rate in half to 30 frames per second. So I'm not as big a fan of Into the Nexus as the other two. It's just not my thing. Oh, doby dobo. Hey, 7th, I'm super late. Yeah, you got 15 minutes left. What's the matter with you? You're disrespecting me. Why you gotta be so disrespectful? Show up on time, damn it. Swear to God. I must not be that entertaining if you keep forgetting to show up. I have a Discord, but nobody uses it, Clean Frame. Nobody uses it, but it's there. You had $15 in the first 5 minutes. I thought you were going to hit it tonight. Well, didn't happen. It is what it is. It's not really what I do it for anyway. Y'all get 3 hours no matter what. I feel like I'm the only one who cares about Ratchet lore. I'm kind of hoping that Tachyon from Tools of Destruction comes back and Rift Apart. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't seem like they care all that much about the lore, really. Because, they deal with it a little bit, and then they don't deal with it, and then they do deal with it, and then they don't. But, they just give us bits and pieces. It doesn't really seem like they have, like, a set, cohesive narrative that they're trying to tell. That the story is more just a loose framework to link all the different world ideas that they have. What it kind of feels like to me. That the plot is secondary, which may be why the Ratchet and Clank movie didn't do any good. That and the fact that it was all just the cutscenes from the game with little pieces in between to pad it out to feature length. I am enjoying Invincible on Amazon Prime. That's been pretty good. I'm enjoying that. As far as anime goes, I haven't really found a new long show that I can really get into. I watched a short one the other day that was called something like The Hero is Overpowered but Overly Cautious or something like that. That one was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that one. That one gave me a good laugh. 7th, which dinosaur would terrify you the most from a video game if it actually existed? Any of the ones that weren't herbivores. I introduced Talwyn in Tools, or they introduced Talwyn in Tools, and we still haven't found her father. It's irritating that they didn't do much. Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying it doesn't seem like they really care that much. Love you, 7th, but I got my PS5 yesterday, so I missed you this week. That's okay, Chris. I don't go into these expecting or requiring anyone to donate. It's just, it is what it is. If y'all are satisfied with 3 hours, then you won't donate. If you want to watch me more, then you will. It's just the way it works. between them, and of course, because the people that did donate tonight did it via the super chat instead of the Streamlabs, I'm not going to get that money for a long time anyway, not until that account gets $100 in it. Between Mortal Kombat and Tomb Raider, what was the better video game movie? I like the Mortal Kombat movie better. It was just more fun. I mean, I liked the original Tomb Raider that Angelina Jolie did, especially because her butler was played by Rimmer from Red Dwarf, so that was kind of a special thing for me because at the time that movie came out, very few of my friends knew what the hell Red Dwarf was. And so we all go to see it together, and I'm like, holy shit, her butler's Rimmer. And they're like, who? It was like a joke that only I could get. Start a movie review channel. If I did movie reviews, I wouldn't start a new channel. I'd just do it on one. I don't care about the algorithm. It can kiss my ass. 7, do you think kids are generally more honest than adults? Usually, yeah. You know, a kid that's never met you before will walk right up to you and go, wow, you're old. Wow, you're fat. You smell like cheese. You know, whatever comes to their mind about you, they're just going to say it out loud. They don't have any filter. They don't have any restraint. They just say what they think. Because they haven't learned about social norms yet at that point. So it can be fun. It can be fun. 8 minutes left. 8 minutes, my friends. I don't know why, and I've said this before, I constantly find myself whistling El Dorado by the Electric Light Orchestra. I don't know why. I never even was a fan of the Electric Light Orchestra, but for some reason that little melody from that song has wormed its way into my head, and so I'll be sitting there, you know, thinking about something or whatnot, and I'll realize that I'm whistling El Dorado. I can't explain it. Can't explain it. Just one of those things. It may be that when I was like, 16 or something, that song played several times over the grocery store sound system when I was bagging groceries or something. Like, for example, I told you about when I used to work in a video store, and there was a gay woman that worked there with me, and she was a big fan of the Indigo Girls. And so now to this day, I can recite lyrics from several of the Indigo Girls songs. Chicken man, chicken man, chicken man, hold my hand, and all that kind of stuff. And I was 17. I'm 46. Yeah, almost 30 years later, and I can still remember the vocals to, like, Galileo by the Indigo Girls, because she would play it over the video store sound system every day that she worked. Every day. And every chance I got, I would like go over and switch it, to The Clash or Def Leppard or something, anything. But the minute she'd notice, she'd go over and hit the changer and switch it back to that Indigo Girls disc. I'm like, you're killing me. Yes, I'm 46. Does the gray not clue you in on that? I was 34 when I started YouTube, or somewhere 34 or 35. 7th, I have a religious question. That's one of the other topics I don't like to get into, but if angels come down from heaven to help or guide people, what ways should they typically do so? I don't know. I'm not an angel. So I don't know what their capabilities are, so I don't know what their possibilities are. You know what I'm saying? When's your birthday? None of your business. It's towards the end of the year. That's all you need to know. Lol, you don't look that old. I look older than I did when I started this shit. I didn't have all this gray in my beard when I started. I will say this, at 46, I look younger than my dad did at 46. But then again, you know, my dad went through a lot of crap in his life that I didn't have to put up with because I was never a cop. You know, being a cop can age you. Trust me on that. My dad retired before he was 50. But of course, you know, his pension was a joke. And so he ended up having to be a security guard for the rest of his life just to make ends meet. But he had decided that he just couldn't take being a cop anymore. And so he retired early. And he got like a crappy pension, you know, and an honorary badge that he could carry around. And that was it. That was it. What game has the best DLC in your unhumble opinion? I couldn't really tell you because I typically don't buy DLC all that much. You know, I bought some of the DLC from the first two Borderlands games, and then I felt stupid about it because then they came out with the Game of the Year edition that had all the DLC included. And so ever since then, I really avoid buying DLC. 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. $35 short. It ain't happening tonight, friends. It ain't happening tonight. La 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 la. Wonder what I'm going to watch when this is over. Don't really feel like playing anything, so maybe I'll watch me a movie. Find me a movie to watch. Maybe something on Shudder. Find me a horror movie to watch on Shudder. None of my business, but your age is my business. Hypocrite much? No, because whereas I can tell you I'm 46 years old, that's okay. Okay? But if I tell you my birthday, then you just subtract 46, and then you have my full birthday, and then that becomes a situation where you could use that to try to perpetrate identity fraud. So I don't mind you knowing my age, but I'm not telling you what my month and birth date are. I've watched Endgame enough times already. I need to wait 6 months or so before I watch that again. Sir, your thoughts on Borderlands 3? Gameplay was excellent. Graphics were excellent. The storyline was crap. Had weak villains. With a game like Borderlands, you got to have a good, entertaining villain, and it didn't have it for Borderlands 3. Handsome Jack was great. The guys in Borderlands 3 were garbage. I've watched Halloween hundreds of times. I want to watch something I haven't watched before. I want to watch something new. Two-minute warning, folks. 2-minute warning. Will we ever see a Borderlands 4? Well, I suppose it's possible. It's the only thing Gearbox does that actually makes money, so I would imagine that they'll make another one. Ever watch Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage? That's a really funny movie. I feel like it wasn't meant to be, but it is. Probably one of his most over-the-top performances. Absolutely. We got 60 seconds. Oh, no, it's 9 o'clock, folks. It's 9 o'clock, and we are $35 short of the 10 o'clock goal, so this is where I shall have to say goodbye. I will endeavor to be here again next week, And so be thinking of all the things that you want to ask me. Remember, folks, no politics. Thank you so much. So just be thinking of the things you want to ask me about. And I will be back again next Saturday. Same 7th time, same 7th channel.